Okay, looks like we've got a nice group today. Welcome, everybody.
Hey, Daphne, I haven't seen you in a long time. This is Denise Stallhausen.
Hi, Denise. How are you? I'm so happy I
Good.
remember you. And I remember Margaret. Hi, Margaret. Congratulations.
Hi, Daphne. Thank
It's
you.
been
It's good to see you.
been it's been over a year since I've seen you, I think.
I know.
And there's Debbie and Jean. Is it Jean? Jen. I'm sorry.
Jen Allen.
Jen. And
Hi.
we
I'm
met
nice.
once. We
Yes.
met once.
Yes. Hi. Great to see you.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be alive. I'm so happy to be involved in this meeting.
Yes, we're happy to have you here, Daphne. Thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor.
Thank you very much. I really admire your persistence.
we've been pretty steady. um, although events have been up and down and out of our control sometimes, but we still maintain our steady course. Yes. So at this, to summarize, at this, we had a wonderful board meeting on Wednesday, and prior to that, we had a wonderful executive committee meeting, at which we presented the naming opportunities that grew out of. Well, we had also Michelle was instrumental in bringing this up as a way to raise funds for our expansion about 3 years ago, and it was put on the back burner for a while because we were pursuing other avenues for fundraising that Jen has been, and Margaret and Whitney have been very active in pursuing. And this year, they were pursuing a grant not only from the Keck Foundation, but also from the Taper Foundation. And in that application process, the naming opportunity concept came up again as one of the requirements that they wanted to see from us. So what Jen did, 1 or 2 meetings ago, she facilitated another wonderful meeting where we were brainstorming objects, rooms, activities, programs, new buildings at the West Branch that we're envisioning, and offering up those as naming opportunities for fundraising to present to Taper. So they wanted to the Taper Foundation. So that was part of that exercise. But we're following up with the continuation of this because in about 3 or 4 years, we're going to need the funding to finalize the expansion plans that we've been talking about over the years. And maybe, Jen, do you have the plan ready for is that handy?
Yes. Would you like me to go through the phased expansion plan
Yes, if you
first?
would, yes,
Sure.
you wouldn't
I'm
mind.
not sure who's seen for some of you, you may have it memorized by now. Others, this might be brand new.
Yeah, I don't know if well, Daphne has seen it yet.
Perfect. Would you like me to walk us through this?
Yes, please.
Sure. So if you look down here, this is our west branch. This whole thing is our west branch. And here is our front entrance. That's on Chestnut Avenue. Just to give you kind of a general layout, this is our current building. And our expansion plans have now solidified to the extent that we can talk about it in 4, what we see as very realistic phases. Phase 1 are these green boxes that was completed in 2019, which added these additional toddler slots to our current capacity. Phase 2, which we hope to start soon, maybe this year, is a new construction over here, which will also add to our toddler spots in the back corner of our lot. Phase 3 will be a really exciting renovation of our historic building at the West Branch, including down here, splitting our preschool room into 2 to increase our preschool capacity, And then over here is where we can finally bring infant care to the West Branch. This will hold 27 infants, plus an infant kitchen and an infant playground back here. Phase 3 will also include kind of renovating our offices, improving our staff lounge, and just giving better use of our current space in the building. And then phase 4 back here is a new construction of a 2-story building, which will kind of replace the preschool slots that we lost down here due to infant care. And then also include a space for our early intervention, parent engagement, staff training, and other kinds of meetings. So that's very, very briefly, this is our kind of an overview of what this expansion plan will look like. By the end, this will have doubled our capacity up to 131 children with 30 teaching staff.
Yes, and without closing the facility at all. So it's still it's still operational. Yes, even, yes, and with COVID protocol in place. And very good care of the teachers and the children. Any questions from anyone?
Excuse me, is it possible to get a copy of that?
Sure.
Okay,
Daphne,
great.
did you receive a packet from the as an honorary board member recently?
I don't think so.
Okay, like with the audit in it?
Yeah, I don't remember getting a packet either.
I'll check
Okay.
on that. That's both of you should have received, as honorary board members, received a packet.
I remember the annual report.
What about the audit more recently, just this past
I
February?
think, yes, there was an audit.
Okay, with the audit, there was a copy of this in it. I'm happy to send you another one. I just want to make sure that
No,
you did get
it's
that
okay.
packet.
I have to confess, I didn't thoroughly study the audit, but
Well,
I will do so.
along with the audit, there was like a presentation and then a copy of this expansion plan.
Okay.
So you did receive that. I just want to make sure you did get that
I'll check and
email.
I'll let you know.
Okay. And Michelle, same, please. If you did not receive that, please let us know.
Okie dokie.
I want to make sure we also have your addresses correct, all of that.
Right, and just want to point out too that the years, the anticipated years, are at the bottom of each of the targeted areas, which really is in the near future. For example, the new building completed in 2025. That's just 4 years from now. But this whole plan was really thoughtfully put together after many iterations by Mike Suter, through the input work of Mike Suter, Whitney, and Jan. They really were very thoughtful, prioritizing, putting together a budget for all of this, a timeline, and all of the requirements that they thought would be salient to this whole project. And with all of that, so when they went through the exercise, the budget actually came down from what we initially were thinking. We were initially thinking 5-6 million, and it's more in the neighborhood of 3 million all told.
Wow.
And
3.2.
yes, 3.2 million, and much of that we foresee having funding ready already. So our responsibility for fundraising from other sources might be as low as 1.5 million or less. I'm just making a really broad stroke estimate, which makes it highly doable. It's not so daunting. It's still daunting, yes, but not as much as we thought it might be. So this is really within the realm of possibility, well, not just possibility, but reality. We can realize this. Michelle, any comments or anything that you'd like to point out or say?
No, I'm just over the moon. It's so much progress. Really exciting.
I know, and this is one of your priorities, and so I wanted to really, yeah, thank you for bringing this to the West Branch. You birthed this concept.
Well, you're the one that took it on your first year on the board, so thank you
Aw.
very much.
Oh, well, I've got, yeah, I don't know. Well, it's just, I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful. All right, so do we want
And
to just,
I have to say the process and what you've gone through is so well thought out. And the staff, amazing with what they've been able to do with grants and other things. This is, yeah, this is amazing.
it's,
You can really see where it could actually all happen now.
that's right, and there's a very good use of space and the
Mhm.
existing building. There's still plenty of space between. They're not, it's not, there's a flow. Is it's open throughout the building and in the new, even in with the new structures in the back. All right, so shall we go through the, do you have the learning opportunities? I'm sorry, I'm counting on you a lot. I forgot to upload them to my computer, but thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, here.
Thank you. So the naming convention came out of the exercise that many of you at this meeting today were participating in, but we also had, including Denise, we thank you for representing the wider, broader Long Beach community. We had staff, Long Beach community, and our board members represented in this brainstorming session that Jen beautifully facilitated. And our whole purpose is to provide Long Beach with, especially the more needy areas, the Washington area, with the daycare, quality care that the young children need, and to bring infant care to that part of Long Beach. We're doing this in the face of other child care facilities having to close down. So there's community-wide, there's less available. So it's incumbent on us to really push forward, move forward with our mission to help alleviate the need and to fill and fulfill the need. So at the top, we start at the top with $1 million. And by the way, the donations can be spread out over time. We'll talk about that. The time period, I'm reaching out to Jillian to get some guidance for her, what they do over the aquarium. And Debbie brought up the fact that maybe we could go to the Ronald McDonald House and find out how, use them also as a model for receiving pledges from their donors. I'll just kind of interject that here because that is the largest number we came up with here, but what it entails is having a smaller name presence on the West Branch of the Long Beach Day Nursery. That would be for $1 million to be on the building, the main original building. And then $500,000 was the next tier that we went to. And it obviously because the infant toddler center, the newer parts of the building is the main focus for this fundraising and to bring that into being. And Keck has indicated interest in both this and the 350,000 level. So Jen is working with them on that. And so that those two levels may be taken care of by Keck Foundation. But
I think they would choose one. They would choose one, and then the other one would still be available for their $500,000 donation.
That's right. Thank you for the clarification. Not both. That'd be nice. Although, yeah, they're allowing us to spread an award over 2 years, so that they would be huge funders for 2 years, and then they would decide which one they would like to take advantage of for themselves and for us. Then at the $250,000 level is the Community and Parent Engagement Training Center. That's right, we don't have that in place now. That would be a brand new program, and that would be in the new building. That's the vision for it. The $150,000 level is the playground, infant, toddler, or preschool playground. We have those. And at the $100,000 level, in the early intervention hub, that service is being provided now, but there isn't a private area for conversations with parents to have some of this more private information shared and conversations had. At the $50,000 level, we will have more staff, and then the need for a staff room becomes more important. And at the $25,000 level, the main kitchen, nutrition center, it's an educational extension of how children can learn how to care for themselves, their own health, with eating good foods intentionally. And then there's a $10,000 level too. And there are so many more that we can entertain, but we're just presenting at the higher levels here. And we did receive approval from the board to go forward with these naming opportunities. And the signage is going to be for each particular space. It's going to be, we want it to be aesthetic, but also noticeable. And also that we'll have a donor wall in the lobby, which is going to be gorgeous. We're looking around for models of other places, other organizations that have donor walls. And we'll have press releases, reception, and for those who provided funding for over 100,000, either themselves or as a group, and packages, and you can read the rest. Jen, anything I missed or that you'd like to add?
No, I think that was very thorough. Well, just the feedback that we did get at the executive committee level, I think was really helpful. And some of you on this call may be able to help with that. To really polish this document, there were recommendations on including guidelines on character limit for the names so that, you know, it's not so extensive on a donor wall or on the side of a building. Possibility of setting term limits on these names, if it's 10 years or 20 years or whatever it is, that at some point if we remodel or re-expand, that we wouldn't be locked into this original naming. And then the question of, is there a vetting process for these names, and any kind of morals clause, is that needed if there were to be an untoward something that went along with someone's name at some point. So those are kind of some of the things we're still kind of thinking through in terms of how to define those, and then how to, I mean, I think maybe just at the bottom of this document, we could add a stipulations section of some sort.
Yes, and also the encouragement that we'll have phased opportunities for people funding, donators to be able to fund over time. And we can encourage people, if they wish, to join together and toward a certain level of funding, which is why we are meeting today. Those are the topics of today's meeting, so that we can provide some input to the board and the executive committee to further refine these opportunities for donating. So I've reached out to Jillian so that we can get guidance, like I mentioned before, on the term for having these donations be effective. Does anyone have any thoughts?
I've never heard of that. I wonder if there's any precedent to putting terms on those naming opportunities, because I can see where that could be difficult and a barrier to some people choosing, particularly the larger opportunities. So it would be good to really research that. I know there have been lawsuits over organizations wanting to change the name of hospitals and other things, just because they, like you said, now they needed to rename it to gain more money. And I think they've generally lost on that. Now, those I'm sure didn't include term limits when they gave the money. So yeah, that's a pretty touchy thing to look at, I think,
All
and
right.
research.
Yes, thank you for that, Denise. Very valuable. Okay. Yeah, so I reached out to Jillian, like I said, and then I also have, we'll reach out to the Ronald McDonald House people. I know Randy Gordon was involved in that fundraising for the Ronald McDonald House, so I was going to reach out to him. Do you happen to know anything about how they ran their naming opportunities program, Denise?
Now, a lot of the Rotarians were involved in that. So there's a number that you could talk to. I think Jill Rosenberg, who's still very much involved. I just got something to support her on the Ronald McDonald Walk this week. So I can find out from Jill who else was involved and give you a chance to talk. I know Rotary did the computer lab there and other things as well.
Right, and they're still manning the food preparation.
Right.
Once a Sunday.
So I'll see what I can find out from Jill, if that's helpful.
Yes, it would be wonderfully helpful.
And I'm also talking to Randy this morning, so I can make a quick ask there.
I
So
do remember his name on one of the doors for one of the resting rooms.
okay,
Yeah. Thank you. That would be so helpful.
sure.
And good. So the next question was vetting process. So any guidance from anyone or thoughts from anyone about how we word it? I mean, what are we looking for, first of all? And
What do you mean by vetting process now?
that was a question. So in terms of associating with people who are not necessarily on up, yeah, we want to prevent ourselves. So, short of doing a background check, I don't know if we have to go be that extensive, but at least a reputation kind of. Some people ask for references, because when we apply for a job, references or something is kind of the norm. But we also may not be dealing with people we don't. This is for people we don't know. People we do know, I don't think we would have to have them go through an extensive vetting process, but people who are maybe brand new but want to donate, how do we, I don't know, if they're willing to give $10,000, what do we want to know about them?
Yeah, that's kind of a hard one too, because we generally just ask among board members if they know anything about the person, and we kind of leave it there.
Okay.
We generally don't go any further than that.
I certainly wouldn't want to discourage any donations either. I'm not sure. I honestly can't remember at this point. I do remember us talking about this at the executive level. Was there a concern that we would be getting?
Yeah, that was a concern, and it was Nancy who brought it up. So it was a concern that, I mean, she works for Kaiser. I don't know.
Has there been a precedent that was set with this issue elsewhere? Did this happen? Was there like some negative publicity that came out of a donor that had their name highlighted?
I don't know. I don't know. And does the committee feel like this is an important issue? I guess that might be the question to ask. If
I
somebody's,
think trying to sell the term limit um is gonna be something you may want to spend more time on and just rely upon the reputation in the community on the naming opportunity, because as Denise said, um our office has actually handled the litigation about the naming opportunities and when they go up and when they go down. So that's going to be your tougher hurdle to get over, because generally it is thought that if you give a large gift that your name will be on, not in perpetuity. We all know that buildings go up and go down, but at least for a significant period of time.
Mhm.
in a significant period of time, more than 10 years.
We pretty much is for as long as the building is up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's kind of the thought.
exactly.
As long as it's got the standing, okay.
Yeah, people are not really prickly. There hasn't been a lot of litigation about if a building literally comes down, then people get that. But a term limit so that you can resell or rename, or
Mhm.
that's generally what people are thinking. Whether you say that or not, what they're thinking is that the reason why you want to put a term limit on it is because you want to have the capital campaign in the future, and you want to be able to pit these naming opportunities. And that's a tough thing to frame with people when you're asking for significant donations or structured donations, where they're going to be sending you 5 or 10,000 a year for 5 years. It's a tough pitch to say it'll be up for 10 or 15 years, and then we're going to need that space for our next campaign.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
Michelle. I agree, Michelle. And also, if you remember, on the East Branch, we have Beverly O'Neill and we have Hazel over there on our building for quite some time. I think that capital campaign was 2000. So it's been over there for quite some time. And I've never seen them where they actually take them down and resell them as a big capital campaign kind of thing.
and really your next expansion will be a new center. So you'll be able to sell all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So is there a need for additional language in this document? I think it's definitely a worthwhile conversation to have. Do we think there's a need, or maybe there isn't? Maybe this is sufficient.
I would take another swing at it if the board's really committed to it being a naming opportunity for a term of time. Then especially if it's a structured donation over 5 years, then you're going to need to have some pretty specific language around the term limit. And then whoever's doing the pitches, there's going to need to be a lot of talk about how to frame it to the donors.
Michelle, would there be the scenario you used was if a building came down? If you were to say to someone that, okay, your name will be there for 50 years, and then the building came down, would you then be legally obligated, do you think, to put their name on whatever new building went up?
Yeah, we would put in there, because essentially it becomes a contract. So it would be, well, I've never had to write one where there was a term limit. So
I know.
I'm at a loss for language. But it would be, generally it's in perpetuity or until the natural decline of the structure, something to that effect. And people never question it, because people get it that it's brick and mortar, and at some point it may come down just from natural wear and tear. But generally the naming opportunity is in perpetuity.
Right. I think you'd have difficulty selling anything less, but I don't know.
Right.
And is that something that language that typically goes into a document like this, or is that once someone has donated, then we clarify that kind of language?
Yeah, once if the donation is generally there's something that's signed when the person commits to donate, because with the really large gifts, usually those are structured, and 5 years is usually the outside time limit for the payment of that structured gift. So there's generally language in there that addresses only the high points, like when the payments on the gift should come in, when the name is going to go up. And there's been a lot of litigation about when the name goes on. We've had a lot of litigation in Long Beach specifically, where the person has finished their 5 years of paying off the gift, but the building is finally finished, but the nonprofit's kind of slow about putting the name up. There's been a lot of litigation there.
Wow.
And generally there's if it's rooms that are named, then it's generally a good idea to specify what room, because there's been litigation where two people were anticipating a room that's close to the front entrance and that's where they think that their name's going to go, and then they end up on a storage, one of them ends up on a storage room in the back of the facility, and so then they're like, well, that's not what I signed up for.
Jan, do you have a grid on like how many of the 10,000 you're going to sell and what all this adds up to?
Not to that detail yet. No, I think that would be, I have a grid with that and smaller donations, kind of just giving a general estimate to help us get our heads around that. I think when we are finalizing this campaign, that definitely would be part of that.
The commitment letter is usually relatively short, a page and a half at the most, for the donation. And the thing is with that, even though the building's not up, the commitment and the payments usually start well before the building going up. Right. So then there's been a little bit, not a lot, there's been a tiny bit of litigation in Long Beach where people started making the payments and then the nonprofit changed their mind about the building. There's been a little bit of litigation around that because now the nonprofit's already has the money and then they've changed their mind about how they're going to do the expansion.
Hi, Robin. Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning. Thank you. My only concern, Michelle, from the onset is that whatever we commit to, whatever we say in order to get the donation, that we commit to that and that we follow through. We did have a concern, and the subject may have already been broached, and that if the person is a great person and then starts walking down the road that the current governor of New York is treading on right now, do we still have to keep their name on the building? So that I don't know if that question has been broached yet, but that was
that can be in the commitment letter. It's just a reservation of rights by the nonprofit to remove the naming opportunity. I mean, I'd have to work on language in the event that there's any illegality or any public event that may cast aspersions upon the nonprofit. So you kind of do a reservation where you can, in the commitment letter with a gift, where you can take their name off. And in specific to Long Beach, I can't say there's been any litigation at all about that. If someone has a hiccup, they generally don't come back and like try to force the issue. The only case I can think of nationally is Ralph Abernathy. He was taken off of several buildings He was a civil rights leader taken off of
Right.
several buildings. This is a while ago, maybe a decade or decade and a half ago. He was taken off of lots of buildings, colleges specifically, when he made some revelations about extramarital affairs with Dr. King. And his family, I think, did litigate that, I think.
Okay.
Because it wasn't really that he did any illegality or anything. It's just that he became unpopular when he
I guess.
when he wrote that, you know, when he talked about the extramarital affairs. And so yeah, that was that's where it becomes a little grayer, because lack of popularity is very different from, you know, an allegation of misconduct, either financially or sexual misconduct. Those are two very different things.
Thank you.
I think the primary issue now that that I see regarding naming opportunities, I've been through a couple at with nonprofits, well, churches too. It's really, I think the Ronald McDonald House is the place that has done it really well. Because the thing about naming opportunities is people get very concerned about it not being tasteful. Like literally every surface that you see in a facility has someone's name on it. And that comes up a lot with churches, because churches are well built. They go on for a long, long time. And sometimes, you know, even it goes down to the pews, every pew is named. So the thing is, it's a matter of taste for, I guess, the board to figure out in terms of when the names actually go up, how it's going to be. And I think Ronald McDonald House has done a really good job, because they sometimes the names are just on a little small plaque, and then sometimes, you know, it's something larger, but it's not overwhelming. They literally have named everything in that building, but it's not overwhelming in how it's presented on the building.
Yes, and even our own West building is probably going to have a new signage on the front with the branding upgrades.
Right.
Yeah, since Rotary gave that building to the West Branch, I would like to be a part of any reach out to Rotary to give them first right of refusal, since they gave it to us.
Michelle, I agree and concur. I was talking to our group about even doing a presentation, if it's appropriate, for Rotary, so that they could see the changes we want to make to the building that they donated, how we want to bring the infant care to that branch, and then give them the opportunity to you know, share if they want to, or to do something. But I thought that it would be a good idea in the next fiscal year of having and that's after they find out whether we receive this larger grant. But from the Keck Foundation, I thought it would be a great idea to get in and do a presentation for Rotary with everything, because we did a presentation earlier in the year where we talked about early childhood was going, and we did that in conjunction with the city of Long Beach, which it was a great presentation with Whitney and Marissa Sylvester. So it was just a good presentation, but I think this would be something where the chair of the board and the chair of the executive director and maybe some members, selected members of her team, go up with the committee and really put on a huge presentation. I think it would be great, and allow for question and answers.
Right.
We have a lot of supporters in Rotary.
Yes,
I don't know what your thoughts are.
Thanks for bringing that up, Michelle, because that really was not on the table before. And
yeah, it seems like a natural pitch, since they gave us the building, to give them the first opportunity to have the naming opportunity. That seems like a kind of a natural fit.
Yes, it would be.
And we did discuss the fact that we have quite a few Rotarians on the day nursery board. So if I mean, that is a place we really should put on our agenda to give them the information.
And an incoming president of Rotary too.
I don't want to brag on that, Nell. I was kind of, saving that.
And 2 VPs, yes. No.
Yeah, well, we're lousy with Rotarians, so yeah, I think that's a natural one.
Yeah, because we have Denise, Linda, Gail. I mean, there's just so many people on our board. So,
Yeah.
and Rotary loves Long Beach Day Nursery. That's our history. So
It is a legacy. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do.
Yeah. And if this would be a great idea, we could really invite our favorite members of our honorary team and our board to be in attendance. Hopefully we could be back in person, but Zoom is okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it would be great.
So how do we make that happen? So,
well, now
yes.
when I have a meeting coming up, and I was thinking we'd propose it then.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then inside of Rotary too. Thank you, Michelle, very much.
No worries. I mean, generally with Rotary, the best way is to get your champions for it first. So, Gail as a past president is awesome, but generally with something like this, you kind of pick out your champions within the club first before that are already, and pitch them. So you already have your supporters, and we should have a few built-in people, all past presidents. Greg Hessler was a longtime board member. He's a former Rotary president. Obviously, Gene Bixby Smith. We should engage Gail Schwander, Steve Hockett, Brian Russell, former Rotary president. I mean, we could get our table of champions first, and then make the and engage them and have them give us some insights into how to approach it, and then go to the wider club.
Amazing. And we just came up with very successful fundraising for the early childhood reading room and theater at the Billie Jean King Library. And that was very successful too. So this would be another major fundraising event that a lot of people already have their hearts into.
Yeah, and that library was exactly that. Nancy, I forget her last name. She already had like 2/3 of that gift before it even went public. So before those of us who kicked in, our little measly, thousands of dollars, she already had millions. So so yeah, there's a way that Rotary does it, but you do need to have your champions on board first.
Awesome. All right.
We can do that.
Yes, we can do that.
Now has a lot of power. We can do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I think first steps might be to figure out that list of who your champions are going to be, and then start with them.
Okay, this is being recorded, so I'm going to take down your suggestions, Michelle.
Yeah, and I would do for the list of champions. I wouldn't do it as a group meeting. I would do it one by one over. I know it's a lot of work. That's why I said I'd be willing to help. So I don't want to pitch something and then go, okay, I'm out, I'm done. But probably like a coffee or something like that. To say I'm not asking you for anything now. This is what we're thinking. Rotary gave us the building. I'm here to mine you for ideas, and how should we approach it, and how should we approach Rotary since they gave us the building. We think that they should have the first right of refusal on any naming opportunity. So give me your thoughts, and engage them with, I'm coming to you for advice first. And after you have that core group on board, then take what they give you and go to the wider club. Because I don't know if they'd wanted to go to the club or to the Rotary Foundation. So that's why that table of champions within the club who gives you some insight would give you a lot of information for the wider pitch.
Would they need some supportive documentation like the blueprint? Do you think that would be a handy tool?
Yeah,
I
I
think it
think
would be.
the building itself they would be receptive to seeing that. I wouldn't have the ask at that when you're trying to get together your people who are going to be your advocates within the club. I wouldn't have that, but I would have the plans themselves and make sure the people that are doing the pitch know about Rotary's history back to not only the donation of the building, but how we had a Rotary president for what, 20 years, celebrated his birthday every year with the day nursery.
Oh,
Yes.
oh, what a nice tradition.
Yeah, every year, because it's a story that Beverly O'Neill tells,
Oh,
because her birthday's the same day. So she always thought it was how nice that man brought cake every year for her birthday.
mm,
He was celebrating his own.
yes. And having lunch with the children.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did it every year for a long time.
I'm not looking at our Rotary list, but just from memory, I already have 12 Rotarians that are affiliated with Long Beach Day Nursery, whose names that I just compiled just from this conversation. So I know there are far more that are affiliated with our organization that I just don't know or forgot. So I think there are quite a few members that we can approach.
Well,
I
that's
think-
probably a good start for your table of champions.
Yeah, there's, and like I said, it could be many more. I just from talking to us and yeah, because I already forgot Lisa Finn. She made 13.
Just so you guys know, from the Rotary perspective, there is a procedural thing. It does have to go through the club before the charitable trust can do anything. So it needs to be adopted by the club as a project, if that's the approach to take, as opposed to individual donations. But
And you know, Denise, and I'm glad you brought out the donation part. When I think it was Debbie and Whitney and I, when we were first talking about approaching Rotary, it wasn't necessarily for a contribution. It was more. It was more to tell them about the legacy, about the building that they donated, and how we have an opportunity to do something that the neighborhood means, something that Michelle brought to us about bringing infant care to West. So it wasn't about a financial, and I don't really like to put the two of those things together. I think that this is to inform them about what's going on. We have an opportunity, and then if people find that this is something that they want to donate to, they can. But I don't ever like to go into anything with someone believing that I'm coming to them to get money, because that's not what this is about. It really is out of respect because they donated the building to us. We have so many affiliative relationships. It's really about giving out information. And so I was thinking of, now we have to prepare a calendar of presenters, and that's how I looked at it. The charitable part, I'm not familiar with how that works within Rotary, but I have to be honest, I wasn't necessarily thinking about the money part. It really is just to bring the information to the Rotary group, if that makes sense at all. And I just for me, I'm only speaking for myself, I never like to ask overtly for money. I always want people to want to give. And maybe that's not the best approach. But I want to look at this really as more giving them information, not, yeah, see what we're doing and can I get $1? If that makes sense.
I think if we actually share the story and really bring forward kind of the relationship between Rotary and Long Beach Day Nursery, I think the rest actually may follow.
I believe that.
Formal in place. And I'm going to speak for myself as, I'm going to say I'm still a fairly new Rotary member. I mean, it's been a couple of years, but I mean, we've got like some 30-year members. And I didn't even know our relationship with the Long Beach Day Nursery. I had no idea. And I learned about it from when Beverly O'Neill was talking, when she was giving her speech one day as our guest. And I remember just being blown away by that relationship. And I really feel that if we, and there's so many new Rotary members that really don't even have that knowledge. And I think if we put it out there and if we put it out in the right way, it will really instill a sense of pride, first of all, with the Rotary members of even having this relationship. And I think we could probably get some momentum around maybe even finding a new donor base.
I agree. And that would be my approach. I just feel comfortable when I'm not asking for anything, but giving. And I agree with you, Linda. I always find that if someone wants to give, they're gonna do that. They're gonna give. And it, but it is something that now that we can bring up with
The other VP.
can we take this? Yeah, it is something now that we can discuss further as to the approach and bring back to the group.
Yeah, and I agree with you, and you've got some time to do that education and what we call really developing those relationships. But as a fundraiser, the reason people don't give is because they're not asked.
You're
So
right.
At some point, somebody has
So
to
totally
do that.
true.
Or
And
be prepared if somebody says, how can I help you? to have an answer to
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. You're absolutely right, Denise. Some folks do, and I've been told that some folks prefer that you do ask.
Right.
But the two don't necessarily have to go hand in hand, but you guys will determine what the approach is and we can go forward with it. But certainly Rotary needs to be part of our plan.
Yeah, I like it.
You know what, I was thinking that if Jean Bixby Smith is a Rotarian, which I didn't know. She has been such a supporter for such a long time of Long Beach Day Nursery that it might be possible for someone to speak with her and get a feel from her about Rotary and you know, some of the things that are being discussed here. And that someone might be Whitney, I'm not sure. But Jean's been a friend for such a long time. And she would be candid and supportive, I would think.
I agree, Daphne. I will see Jean on Saturday. And she actually mentioned something in the last meeting we've had with her. She said, Jennifer, I want to speak with you. I want to talk to you. Jen, I don't know if you heard that, but this would be a great opportunity as a segue into bringing her, having conversation, because she did say she wanted to speak with you. I don't know if you had that conversation yet, but it's a good chance for you and Whitney to maybe have, and now to have a little bit of a discussion with her. But on Saturday, I would be more than happy to say, we've got a lot going on. Love for you to talk to Jen and Whitney. And now there's an opportunity here. So absolutely. But I did recall the last conversation we had with her together. She wanted to talk to you.
She does know about it for sure.
Yeah.
Because we were at the, obviously nothing happened this in 2020, but the last Long Beach City College Hall of Fame, so that had to be 2019. I was at the same table with her and she told Mike and Arlene Walter about this, about the about the infant care at the West Branch. And she gave the whole pitch. She's like, and she was just making conversation. I don't know how she already knew, but she already knew because she told them about it. Not me.
Well, so
It's an amazing
time to bring
resource.
her up to date.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that was in 2019. So yeah, we probably should.
Yeah.
Probably time to meet.
It's still simmering, so it's still there.
Yeah, she was just at our State of the Long Beach Day Nursery event for the honorary board, and where we did a pretty extensive presentation of the expansion plans as well. That's where, yeah, that was just a couple weeks ago. So yeah, definitely.
And that was a very more worthwhile meeting too. Everyone was very encouraged and supportive. Yeah, so my gosh, and I love the direction that this is taking. we come full circle, going back to our roots. And what a beautiful feeling that is to have that. It's always been there. Like we're always looking in somebody else's backyard, and we have a pretty great backyard ourselves, right?
We really do. We
Oh,
really do. I've always believed that it's your own backyard. Don't improve someone else's, improve your
Yeah.
own. And you
Right.
guys, we've just done that. This is so great.
Yes, it is so great.
I feel like I could float for the rest of the day.
Yes, and let's come to maybe
Daphne, were you going to
I-
say something?
Yeah, well, I'm wondering, wasn't it Jean's mom, who started Long Beach Day Nursery, or it? so
Florence Bixby Smith?
That kind
Yes.
of connection is huge.
Mhm.
So I think Jean is looming, she and her sister both, Barbara, they're looming to be a pretty integral part of the discussions as to how we're going to move forward, because they've been there for a long, long time.
absolutely. And the reason that we raised money for the library is because it was our 100th year, and for the Rotary, and that was our centennial gift to the city. So the Rotary is not that well known in Long Beach comparative to some of the others. We haven't really put ourselves out there, but to have the name of the building on Long Beach Day Nursery, that's poetry. That would be so right.
Now that is a name I would love to see on the building. Daphne, when they were talking about naming the building, I had a panic attack because I was thinking, well, Long Beach Day Nursery, that's an iconic name. And so one of the team said, well, there is another name at the East Branch. So after the meeting, I got in my car and drove over to the East Branch, and I realized, God, you idiot, these names have been here, but they just blend in for me because they're not obtrusive. They're done in very good taste. The Hazel Lift, I saw, and when I was looking at the names, I said, oh, Robin, calm yourself down. But but seeing Rotary's name, I don't panic because they've done so much for us and so much for the community.
They have, and it's so understated.
Yes.
We don't toot our own horn, and we
No.
need to toot it more.
Yes.
So that would be beautiful. It just makes total sense. And it's right.
Well, as a takeaway, you can add me to the Rotary subcommittee for this committee. I'd like to work on that.
Absolutely. Okay, thanks for.
Yeah, I had put your name down already, Dobson.
Thank you.
That's what I love about you, Robin.
Oh, volunteering is in our bloods. Okay. Yeah, true to force, true to form. All right. The next is maybe we can talk about languaging, about how we do this. I know, Robin, you said you don't want to be too salesy. We're going to present. Yep.
Don't listen to me.
Oh.
No. I gave an opinion.
Yeah.
The group determines the presentation and what is important, and you guys will decide. I just gave an opinion, and I'm not a marketeer. I have no background in this. It's like Denise said, it's about fundraising. So don't listen to me. I'm just giving an opinion. That's all.
Everybody, we're in this together. So everyone, you'll have an effect. Okay.
Well, I'd like to have the board take another look at the whole term limit issue. I'd like that's just my request, that you take another look at that before you start pitching.
I'm sorry, did I lose something?
Yeah, we were told earlier that the naming opportunities might be presented with term limits on how
I
long the
see.
name would be there, instead of the name being there in perpetuity, which would be unusual for for large gift naming opportunities. So because that would be an unusual thing to have the name come down after a determined period, I was just asking that the board maybe take another look at why the board thinks that's necessary, and just understanding that from those of us who have worked within nonprofits and have raised money through naming opportunities, and then and me as a lawyer for nonprofits defending litigation, it's unusual to ask for a large gift and then let the person know that at some point their name's going to come down. I mean, unless it's a long period of time, you know. If the length of time that it will stay up is 50 years, I guess, then I guess it doesn't matter. But it's just unusual to have it be termed at some point, term out.
Understood. That discussion was not something that was in stone. These were a number of questions that came up. Should we say that the name stays up for 50 years, 100 years, whatever the time? But these were questions we wanted to run by you because we knew you had expertise in this area. They weren't necessarily decisions that were made by the board. So we just needed information on naming for the length of time. We needed you to give more feedback to us as far as the morals clause and different items like that. So that as far as us being roped into this term limit, if you were to come back and your recommendation is that's not something you put on the table, the board would certainly say, well, Michelle said she's worked with this is her advice, and certainly they would more than likely take that recommendation. We do want to have a common sense approach with this endeavor. So it would make no sense for us to shoot ourselves in the foot before we start running the race.
And Denise brought up some lawsuits over naming on hospitals and schools. Correct, Denise? You need to unmute.
Yeah, and Michelle's had actual experience with that. So yeah, I found that that's unusual to put term limits on these, to my knowledge.
Yeah, we can lose that, Michelle. We just needed you to give us your recommendations and tell us how to proceed legally. We just want to do everything decently and in order. And if term limits it's not appropriate, certainly the board would embrace that recommendation.
Yeah, when they sign the commitment for the gift, you can reserve the right to remove the name, and it's all language, and I'd be happy to help in working on that. But there's things that naturally happen that everyone understands. You know, buildings naturally come down, buildings are damaged for different reasons. There's reasons that are acts of God, you know, where buildings will come down. But I guess I just misunderstood because it sounded a little like when the person gave the gift, it's like, now you understand that your name will only be on the building for 20 years or 20.
Yeah, that's years. About what we had thought about. Now you told us it doesn't make sense. We're good with it.
Yeah, no, it's as for naming opportunities, that would be a new approach. Generally, when you give a name for a naming opportunity, it's understood that it's in perpetuity for as long as the building stands.
Understood.
So we should put that language in the acceptance letter or agreement.
Yeah, and then, as I said, put the reservation of rights in there, that the organization reserves the right to remove the name, and we'll have to figure out. This goes to like morals, like if someone has some horrible thing befall them, where it doesn't make sense to continue to have their name on an early childhood development facility. And that's easy for everyone to understand. I mean, no one's going to sit there and go, I don't know, I got some felonies in the hopper. No one's going to allow, no one's going to balk, I think, at, yes, I understand why you're reserving your right to remove my name if I have something that causes disparagement on the organization. I understand that. That's not a big deal. I don't think anyone's going to push back on that.
Okay.
And that can all be in the commitment letter.
Do we have a commitment letter already though, that we can template?
I've signed a couple. I'll look for it. I have a couple that I've done. I've done a couple with Cal State Long Beach, so I'll look for them. They're old now because I already finished paying, but I'll look for them.
Fantastic. That would be.
They're
Would that
short
be-
though. They are short. They're a page and a half at the most. But I'll look for the most recent one I signed with the with Cal State's foundation.
Awesome. Thank you.
Would that
No,
be
I'll
like a
also send
pledge?
you one over from LBCC that they've used.
Would that be like a pledge commitment?
Similar. Yes. They have
Yeah.
a pledge commitment. Yes, I'll send over what I have.
Okay,
I
good.
bought a big window at the aquarium of the Pacific and it did not have a term limit on it. You know, when they were adding on the Pacific Visions down there at the aquarium, I
Mhm.
bought one of those big windows and it did not have any, I paid it all at one time, but it did not have any kind of term limit on it.
Oh, interesting.
Do you have anything that you can share with now?
I'm gonna look that up. I don't
Okay.
have it right here at my office, but I definitely have the paperwork on it when I did it. But I'll have to look that up.
All right.
Okay, and I'll send her the one I have one from LBCC that's fairly recent. I'll send that over.
Maybe we can combine all of them.
We'll copy and steal everything.
Yeah, yes. Best practices. We're just following best practices. These are all reputable organizations. I mean, the Long Beach University, Cal State Long Beach, right? And also the aquarium. Very reputable.
Yeah, I think the big thing is that people understand that the payments themselves will start immediately, even though the building is down the road.
Correct.
Yeah, so you can structure your gift because
Mhm.
the building itself will go, and that actually gets a lot of buy-in if people are already writing that check.
Mhm.
Awesome. Wow.
Have you decided on a number of years or how many years you're going to allow people to make pay off payments or anything like that? Been worked out yet?
We were just tossing a few numbers around and to kind of sync up with the completion of the last building, 2025.
Good.
Yes, Robin,
So are you saying 5 years? 4 years, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years, okay.
Does that seem reasonable?
Well, that's an
That's pretty
easier way to
standard.
pay. Yeah, that's easier to pay off 50,000 in 5 years rather than 50,000 up front. Notice I put a number to it.
Right. Of course. Yeah, it makes it more real. So did somebody say it was pretty standard?
Mhm.
Yeah, 5 years is pretty standard.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good. Okay. We are following best practices. Okay. That's all I have. Does anybody else want to take the floor and bring up another topic, or are we okay?
I did have one last question, and it's only about timing. And I guess it goes in I'll try to make it very, very short. The timing is in bringing this project to Rotary. So do you, Michelle, this is important because Nell and I actually are going to talk about Rotary's calendar. And so this would be a good time that if we feel sooner or late, where do you feel that this, I was looking at maybe July or August, but is that too soon to present the project to Rotary?
No, I think August is perfect. You know, in Rotary, well, I don't know about this year. Everything's different, but you know, Rotarians are travelers, so we have a dip, June, July, August, always, while people are traveling. But
So then September is better, you're saying?
yeah, but remember with Rotary, are you trying to get something for Dennis's year, which is the coming year? Because I think that all of his commitments are set. So really the Rotary president, the first breakfast or coffee or lunch you want to have would be with Alfredo. Because you'd be wanting him to work this project into his year. And then the year after that is going to be a no-brainer because it's my year. So yeah, Alfredo's the year you want to hit.
Okay, thank you.
So are you saying that Dennis already has his whole year commitments planned out, Michelle?
Well, he knows what he wants to focus on already. And I know that we just met Monday. I know that this is not even on his radar, but only because he doesn't know about it. I mean, I don't know. Right. We could give it a shot with Dennis. Yeah.
And to broach the subject, and then we'll really get homed in during Alfredo's administration.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you can bring it home, Michelle.
There it is.
Well, Alfredo is, I mean, look at his organization. He represents children. So this is a good for his, but I think Dennis, we can apprise Dennis of this, and I think he would embrace it as well. And then of course, the heavy hitter, we got her.
It's in the back.
But by then we should be full steam ahead by my year.
Okay. All right then. I just wanted to know, like I said, we're going to have a Rotary meeting towards the end of the month. And I just wanted to make sure that before Nell and I start talking about just to our group of VPs, that I had an idea of when this would be a good time to broach the subject. So I just don't want to get ahead of myself.
Well, I think the meetings, the one-on-ones with the people that seem natural, Greg, Gail, Brian Russell, I think that can start immediately.
Okay.
Definitely Jean, that can start immediately.
Well, she'll be Saturday, and then I'm going to hook her and Jen together. If that's okay with you, Jen, that I segue, that I see her Saturday, if I can segue the two of you together. Are you okay with that?
Absolutely. Thank you.
I'm taking liberties, and I should have asked you rather than telling you.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and Jen, if it's okay, what if we're going to do the one-on-ones, then what we should do is get multiple dates from your calendar first. Because you should be at those meetings, I think, don't you? Like, doesn't everyone think that Jen should be at every
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
My calendar's clear for raising money. Amazing.
A true development mind. My calendar is clear.
Totally available. That's so exciting.
Oh yes, and this could be ongoing conversation beginning now. Yeah, with
the one-on-ones can be. I think that can begin now, because it's not an ask. This is now happening. So we want to bring you up to speed and get your advice on Rotary's first right of refusal on the building they gave to us. So, tell me your thoughts, and I'm sure you know the history, and we'll be in and out in an hour. That's why I said coffee. We'll be in and out in an hour.
Daphne, you were saying something and we missed it.
Yeah, it's okay. But I was thinking that when you walk out, when you leave East Branch, there's a wall, and on that wall are a bunch of names. And I remembered that I was on the board at the time, and we were all asked to make a donation. And I was able to make a donation because it wasn't, hundreds of thousands, of which I have nothing, So I want to say it was 1,000. And that was the largest donation that I ever made in that time period. And that the names are all still there.
And it's beautiful.
You can find places within West Branch to do the same thing. We can draw in the smaller donors, and it makes them feel like they're really a part of something important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that wall that you're talking about, it is beautiful.
Isn't it?
Whoever designed it was an artist because it really is gorgeous. I'm telling you, when they were talking about that name on that building, I lost my brain and ran over there. It is beautiful. It's very
You know who the
tasteful.
artist- You know who designed it?
No,
I can't think of his name, but he, and Denise, you might remember, he's an artist of children's art. He does children's art, and he was quite famous at that time because of projects that he was working on in Long Beach. He was a young guy then, but really visionary and very artistic. And he just came up with something that is still, in my opinion, still to this day, it's very fitting.
it is.
For our
You
time.
must, there must be records somewhere.
Yeah,
Dave,
there's
you're right.
there's information on that capital campaign. I'm not sure how specific it is, but there is some information on that at the Day Nursery about that East Branch campaign.
Now, would it be
That means
okay
you
if
don't
we
have
found
to.
him?
Oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was gonna say, I would love, if you remember his name, I think I'd love to, I haven't seen him on anything in our documentation. We can look again, but if you do remember that name, I think it'd be great to reach out again.
Oh, yes, another
I
tradition.
remember.
Yeah.
Calling all honoraries. Do you remember?
Yeah. And if we don't remember that way, let's remember that there's the Arts Council. And sometimes they do have information on different artists that have done work in Long Beach. I got artists from them.
That's
So
right.
if it all fails, let's remember that we have the Arts Council.
Who headed the old campaign? Who was the chair?
Oh,
You may
I
remember.
don't remember. I think we could probably go back to some of our past board chairs, honoraries now,
Yeah, you might remember.
back in there, and I mean, like Brian or John Gotts, or even for any of those people, they might remember that.
John Gotts.
Yeah, John Gotts is another.
He wasn't on my
Rotary.
list.
So I think that we could probably put the word out maybe and see if anybody has any information on it.
Did he sign it? The artist? Did he put his signature anywhere?
Ooh.
Oh.
Maybe Margaret could take a peek and see if she's.
I was gonna say,
I'll
I'll
go
go
over and
look.
look. Oh,
See
Margaret
if I
can
can
look.
find it.
Yeah, go out there
Yeah.
and check it out.
Yes, he might have left his mark there somewhere.
I'm sure he did.
That would be that would be fitting for the artist.
I
Well, and don't discount those that donated for that building. May very well be candidates for this building.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Way to unify the community. Yeah, from end to end.
And I like
Well,
Daphne's suggestion about leaving room for that donor, that $1,000 donor. I mean, you could get 100 people to give you $1,000,
Mhm.
but not 100 people to give you $100,000. So let's keep that in mind, that there are people that want to give and to give that opportunity and some sort of reflection. But I agree with Michelle. We don't want it to be gaudy, and every time you turn a corner, there's a name.
And wasn't the one over at East Branch, those tiles they made? Was that what we were talking about? How those tiles are out on the building there and they had donors on there? Yeah. Whitney might know a little bit about that because when I first joined the board, when I first was meeting up with her, she was explaining to me about the tiles and what projected the tiles to come along and how that whole thing worked. So she might know a little bit about that.
Because each of those tiles was personalized.
Yes, they were.
Beautiful.
They were individually done.
Yeah.
Mhm.
hmm
I remember that. It's in the courtyard, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
They're also on the inside of the building too. If you go out through the kitchen, there's also some of the there's some out there as well
Yeah, hundreds.
in that outdoor courtyard.
Hundreds and hundreds. Yes.
I can show, I have two things. I can show you my draft of this major donor strategy. It was just something I pulled together to try to understand the numbers, and it makes it feel even more reasonable. This is kind of what Denise was asking, I think. Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Sure.
This is a follow-up to what because in that workshop that we did about naming levels, we had so many options, and then really how to break it down into smaller
Gotcha.
categories. So this is, if you look, we start here with what would technically be what's the Keck Foundation, hopefully. We'll know in June. And then we've kind of plopped in some other ones. So we're thinking if this would get us to $2 million, which the total project is 3.2 million. But it kind of just gives it, this is an Excel spreadsheet that we can play with. And like here, if we want to do 100 people at $1,000, that increases, then we get up, it just changes and so here's some possible recognitions that we could assign to these different levels based on that workshop that we did. So we got down to this, and then here we had a garden or reading nook, a bench in a courtyard, a tree, a classroom chair, a brick marking a pathway included in the donor wall. There we could, and again, this is just a draft, but I think it really gives us an idea of how we could go about reasonably really going about this campaign.
And
Great breakdown.
right, and this
This
does not
looks
include
great.
room on the building, though.
So what I don't see on there is that we have, there are two people that I want to keep in mind. One of them is Beverly O'Neill, and the other one is Joanne Garnica. Because as a child, Joanne played on a specific piece of equipment that she continues to talk about to this day. And I did ask, and I was told that it is still there. And that's the tire swing, right? It's still there. That's what someone said. Yes?
We have a tire swing. I'm not
A
sure.
tire swing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the tree that the tire swing was on is still there.
Okay. So we do not have the tire swing anymore?
I think what she talks about is a tire swing that was tied to the tree, which is not there anymore. The
Do
tree
we
is
have
there.
a tire swing?
We have a tire swing.
Okay. So
Not on that tree.
yeah. So anyway, one of those opportunities, I would like to definitely not make it available for someone else because she was a child there. And I think that's huge for her and her family. And then if Dr. O'Neill has something similar or some other, something else tied to her that has a memory, I want us to keep those things for those two people if we could, please. That's very important. And definitely that you can make it the tree or the tire swing, but let's keep Joanne Garnica in mind, please, about that. Thank you.
What a legacy. Yeah, we're talking legacy.
Yes, we
Mhm.
are.
And then I had, if I may, I have a question. I'd love to get your feedback with the Rotary strategy I love the idea of reaching out one-on-one, creating this table of champions. Would it be valuable to speak with them one-on-one and then bring them together for a more formal presentation all together? I'm just wondering if there's some kind of like peer camaraderie that would happen if they were all together hearing it, or go ahead, Michelle.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was thinking with the table of champions, that's going to give us the most information about how to do that strategy. Rotary is all made up of alphas, so once we sit them down and say, here's the thing, here's what we're thinking. We think that Rotary should have the first opportunity since they gave us the building. What are your thoughts? Once we say, what are your thoughts? Then all we have to do is get our pens out because they'll take it from there. So that's why I think that those meetings we can get started on, because that will give us our the most and best information about how to approach the club.
Yeah, and individually, so we can get different perspectives.
And Michelle, this is such a great idea. And the reason why we are approaching them as individuals, we want to remember, is because they are either on our honorary board or a current board member. Because I don't want other Rotarians to feel like they were supplanted. This is a relationship. The reason why we're talking to this group of, because there's a relationship. So we want to be mindful of that, because Michelle did tell you something. Everyone in there is an A. There are no Bs in Rotary. So we want to be careful of not to slight anyone. So this is our first initial outreach is because there is an affiliative relationship, if I may.
Yes, and it makes perfect sense to everyone. That's very acceptable because we already have we're reaching out to people we have existing relationships with as an organization. Okay.
You know, we can see you, Michelle, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, I'm in the kitchen making the kids breakfast. So I thought it would be okay for you to see my kitchen.
Yeah, and by the way, I've seen your house. It's gorgeous. I haven't been in it yet, but the pictures are phenomenal. I even made a very classless comment, and then I think I went back and I deleted it. I said, "Can I burn my house?"
Oh.
But then I realized I said,
That's
"Robin, that
hilarious.
is in such poor taste," and so I went back and deleted it.
That's funny.
But it's beautiful. The work they did was incredible.
Oh, thank you.
They
It's
did a
good to
good
be
job.
home.
Thank you, Michelle, for heading up our subcommittee to reach out to Rotarians, and Robin.
Yeah, Jen, I'll work with your calendar. And we can start getting those scheduled.
Awesome. And Robin, you're going to be speaking with Jean this Saturday.
Yes, I'll see her on Saturday and talk to her then.
Yeah. Margaret, you're going to see if there's a signature by the tiles, and Denise, you're going to reach out to learn about the Ronald McDonald House
Yes.
dinner naming opportunities.
Yep.
And we're all going to send you various commitment letters that we've used in the past.
Commitment letters. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Michelle. And
I have to hop off for my next Zoom though. I have an 11 o'clock Zoom.
yes, okay, we're closing now. So
Okay.
Okay.
we have our walking papers and our action items. Thank you so much.
My favorite meeting when I leave with an assignment. Everyone have a good day.
Yes,
Bye.
I like that. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Denise,
Thank you.
Linda,
Bye,
Robin.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nell.
Thank you.